सर। سر كسان كينا استغفر غنى نشره. بس أقول مشاهدو سين سيبو طول كينا است فيديو سبيكر عن.
Everyone, please rise for the national anthems of Pakistan and Egypt.
शुरू अल्लाह का नाम लेकर जो बड़ा मेहरबान निहायत रहम वाला है।
इन्ना अअतैनाकल कौसर,
ए नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, हमने तुमको कौसर यानी बहुत ज्यादा भलाई अता फरमाई है।
फसल्लि लिरब्बिक वन्हर,
तो अपने परवरदिगार के लिए नमाज पढ़ा करो और कुर्बानी किया करो।
इन्न शानिअक हुवल अबतर,
कुछ शक नहीं कि तुम्हारा दुश्मन ही बेनाम रहेगा।
Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. On behalf of the Center for Afghanistan, Middle East and Africa at the Institute of Strategic Studies, I welcome you to today's event to mark the Revolution Day of the Arab Republic of Egypt. Now, the 23rd of July holds deep historical significance. It was on this day that Egypt took a decisive step towards redefining its national destiny as well as identity. The revolution marked a break from colonial legacies and laid the foundation for a sovereign and self-reliant republic. It was a moment that not only transformed Egypt, but also inspired other decolonization movements across Africa and the Arab world. Now, over the decades, Egypt has played a critical role in shaping the political, cultural, and intellectual life of the region. Its contributions to diplomacy, multilateral engagement, and interregional cooperation continue to be widely recognized as well as appreciated. Egypt's historical stature, strategic location, and role as a leader in both the Arab and African world places it at the heart of any meaningful engagement with the African continent. Now, as Pakistan advances its Engage Africa policy, Egypt emerges as a natural partner, one whose experience, regional linkages, and developmental priorities align with our aspirations for deeper collaborations across Africa. Now, at CAMIA, we see Egypt not just as a gateway to North Africa, but as a pivotal actor with whom Pakistan can build durable partnerships grounded in shared regional perspectives and a commitment to South-South cooperation. As a part of CAMIA and ISSI's commitment to building meaningful linkages with African nations, CAMIA, along with the African Division at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, African diplomatic missions based in Islamabad, Pakistan's missions in Africa, and pivotal institutions such as the Pakistan Africa Institute for Development and Research have taken the lead in celebrating the national days of our African partners. These celebrations, I have to say, could not have been possible without the support and partnership of course, Ambassador Hamid Azhar and Senator Mushayed Hussain, for which we are deeply grateful. Now, the commemorations we celebrate provide an opportunity to reflect on the historical struggles and achievements of our African partners and to reaffirm Pakistan's solidarity and friendship with the continent. Egypt's revolution is being marked today in the same spirit, with admiration, respect, and a view to furthering our engagement. Looking ahead, we see tremendous scope for further deepening Pakistan-Egypt cooperation. There is untapped potential in areas such as higher education, particularly through the possibility, I heard very recently of the opening of the Al-Azhar University Center in Pakistan. I think this would be a key development in the education sector. Other promising areas include agriculture, climate adaptation, renewable energy, and digital connectivity. These sectors represent not only mutual strengths, but also common challenges as we address them together. Now, today, as we celebrate Egypt's remarkable national journey, we also reaffirm our collective commitment to regional cooperation, peace, and inclusive development. We at ISSI remain committed to playing our part in fostering strong, forward-looking partnership between not only Africa and Pakistan, but today, more importantly, between Pakistan and Egypt. So with these welcoming remarks, I would now like to hand over the floor to Ambassador Suhail Mahmood, Director General, ISSI.
Thank you, Ms. Amna Khan. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Senator Mushayed Hussain Saeed Saab, Excellency Ambassador Karmoon, Ambassador Hamid Azhar Khan, Ambassador Dr. Ihab Abdul Hamid Hassan, Ambassador Khalid Mahmood Saab, and Ambassador Amir Shaukat joining us online from Cairo. Excellencies, distinguished participants, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. I warmly welcome everyone to the ISSI for today's commemoration of the Revolution Day of the Arab Republic of Egypt. This joyous moment carries immense historical significance not only for Egypt, but also for the broader region and the international community that stood witness to Egypt's transformative journey. The ISSI is privileged to collaborate with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with PAIDAR, and with the Embassy of Egypt in organizing this event. I take this opportunity to commend the leadership of Senator Mushahid Hussain Sayyed, Ambassador Hamid Asghar Khan, and Ambassador Ihab Abdul Hamid Hassan. And I also welcome Ambassador Amir Shaukat in Cairo, who is with us through the Zoom link. On 23rd July 1952, a bold and determined movement led by visionary leaders heralded the Egyptian Revolution. It marked a decisive break from the vestiges of the past and laid the foundations for a sovereign and modern republic. The revolution reflected the aspirations of the Egyptian people for their rights, dignity, social justice, national pride, and socio-economic progress. It also inspired peoples across the Arab world, Africa, and beyond, looking for freedom and independence. The late President Gamal Abdel Nasser, who had led the July Revolution, emerged in time as one of the leaders of the non-aligned movement and the Third World, striving to build a fairer and equitable world order. As we reflect on this important event, we pay tribute to the strength, wisdom, and resilience of the Egyptian people. Over the past many decades, Egypt has navigated complex challenges and yet remained steadfast in its pursuit of development, regional leadership, and international engagement. Today, Egypt stands to play a vital role in promoting peace, security, and stability across the Middle East and North Africa. Pakistan and Egypt enjoy a close, cordial relationship anchored in historical ties, mutual respect, and shared values. Pakistan was among the first countries to recognize Egypt's independence. Bonds between the two countries were forged in the early years of independence and have grown stronger through decades of constructive engagement in bilateral, regional, and multilateral arenas. Egypt was among the first countries to establish diplomatic relations with Pakistan. Since then, the two countries have supported each other consistently. Bilateral cooperation covers a broad spectrum, including political dialogue, trade and investment, defense collaboration, cultural exchanges, and academic partnerships. Al-Azhar, the great center of learning, continues to be a source of inspiration for a large segment of Pakistani students and scholars. There is a huge potential to further deepen economic and commercial ties, given the significant complementarities that exist between the two economies. Egypt's expertise in sectors such as energy, infrastructure, and tourism also presents valuable opportunities for collaboration. At multilateral fora, including the United Nations, the OIC, the D8, and the non-aligned movement, Pakistan and Egypt have frequently aligned in pursuit of peace, justice, and an equitable global order. Pakistan values Egypt's principled positions on key international issues and works towards collaboration on matters of shared concern and interest. Within the framework of Pakistan's Engage Africa policy, Egypt holds a pivotal place. It is not only a regional leader, but also an essential partner in building new bridges of connectivity between Africa and the Arab world. Pakistan is committed to working closely with Egypt to promote dialogue, cooperation, and mutual understanding. The Institute of Strategic Studies is also committed to strengthening academic and policy exchanges with Egyptian think tanks and research institutions. We believe such platforms can play an instrumental role in expanding intellectual engagement and shaping informed discourse on global and regional issues. As we commemorate this Revolution Day, we recognize Egypt's crucial role in shaping the political and intellectual landscape of the Arab and Islamic worlds. Egypt's enduring contributions to regional peace, intercultural dialogue, and global diplomacy continue to inspire. On behalf of the ISSI, I extend our heartfelt felicitations to the government and people of Egypt. We look forward to further strengthening the bonds of friendship and cooperation between the two brotherly countries and wish Egypt continued success, prosperity, and enhanced standing in the years ahead. I thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to request Ambassador Hamid Azhar Khan, Additional Foreign Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for his keynote speech.
Thank you very much, Madam Amna. Your Excellencies, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Senator Mushaid Saab, Director General, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Egypt, my brother, the Dean of the Africa Corps, assembled dignitaries, dear friends, colleagues, students, Assalamu alaikum. There is one problem when you go to Egypt and when you go to Cairo. You don't want to leave. For anybody who has even a passing interest in architecture, you just get lost in the streets. There is so much history and there is so much culture from so many eras which is displayed in front of you that one really gets bewildered. I was the guest of our ambassador, who's here on the screen, and he'd very graciously given me his car and his driver. But I kept stopping them to get off, and I would be clicking away, and I took hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the beautiful, gorgeous architecture that you see in every direction. Al-Azhar Mosque has been mentioned. What a jewel of architecture it is. In every different shade of light at different times of the day, if you just stand in that beautiful courtyard and look up at that architecture, one wonders and one marvels at the genius of the people that created such a gorgeous edifice. Nearby is the Husseiniya Mosque, which is a very, very, very important site in the world of Islam. And again, it has been preserved and restored remarkably. The Khan al-Khalil Bazaar itself, you can get lost in. It's a maze of alleyways and small streets, which are adorned with so many products from the great country of Egypt. And then there is a street, Ambassador, you must tell me the name, where there are so many madrasas and colleges and schools. You walk up and down. I sent you a picture of that the other day. There is a street, I'm forgetting the name. So I was supposed to be there for 30 minutes. Near Hussein, behind Hussein. So I was supposed to be there for 20 minutes, but ladies and gentlemen, I spent 4 hours there. And the ambassador had sent some protocol staff with me. They were big young lads, strapping lads, and they started looking at each other. This old man is crazy. Why is he just looking at these buildings and taking pictures? So, Your Excellency, the tremendous job that your various governments have done in preserving this priceless heritage, I would like to thank you for that. Yes. Now, water is an issue that is much talked about both in Egypt as well as in Pakistan today. We are both lower riparian states. We have seen how where there was an agreement, there is an agreement, the Indus Waters Treaty between India and Pakistan. One side has illegally, without there being any provision in that agreement, they have attempted to or stated that they would like to walk out of that treaty, impacting the water that is coming to Pakistan. Water, ladies and gentlemen, is something without which mankind cannot survive at all. Without electricity, perhaps we can pass a couple of days, but without water, I think even 24 hours will be difficult. Egypt is also faced with a deep concern, grave concern, because a neighbor has built a very large dam, the largest in Africa, I understand, the GERD, which has been constructed on the great river Nile. And as you know, that the vast majority of the population of the great nation of Egypt lives on the banks of the Nile. The rest of the country is sparsely populated, but the population centers are on the banks of the Nile. So that is a concern that we share, and it is something that, Your Excellency, we can compare notes on and find a way forward, because dialogue ultimately is the way forward. Of course, we do not want to have any friction between any brotherly countries anywhere at all. Tourism, ladies and gentlemen, is something which is much talked about in Pakistan, but I've even asked the PTDC, I've not been able to get the figures of how many foreign tourists we get a year. But there are two countries over here, represented over here by their dynamic, dashing ambassadors, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Egypt, and His Excellency, the Ambassador of Morocco. And one country gets 16 million a year, which is Egypt, and Morocco got 17 million a year. Now we must ponder. We can't wave a magic wand and expect tourists to start coming into our countries. What are those essential ingredients? And I will just mention 3 or 4 of them. The first is physical safety. There can be no compromise on that. People are not going to spend their money and take their families to places where they are not safe. The second is infrastructure. The third, which I've already mentioned, is conservation. Every country in the world has a heritage and a history, but some of them pull that heritage and history down. They let it decay, they let it rot, they let it fall apart. But the winners are those who jealously preserve their history, whichever religion it may belong to. Because over the course of the centuries, religions come and religions go. There is an ebb and flow like the tide of waters. So we must, even here in Pakistan, realize that the Hindu, Sikh, Jewish, Parsi, heritage in those buildings, if they are preserved, if there is a conservation drive, and then you have to project them, this is what people around the world come to see. And Egypt has been able to do that remarkably well. This is why they get 16 million tourists. They have developed their beach resorts, they have got desert safaris, and of course, they've got these jewels in their cities. I'm very happy to inform you that there's been a recent success in the industrial field between Pakistan and Egypt. A Pakistani football factory, a very well-known factory from Sialkot, was requested by the government of Egypt. My brother played a great role in that, to come to Egypt, and they offered the facilities. So for the other brothers from the African continent here, this is the way forward. Pakistanis are willing to, and they do have the capacity to go and invest in Africa, but you must provide the enabling environment. And again, I would like to thank the government of Egypt and His Excellency, because they really went out of their way to not only encourage them, but to welcome them and to facilitate this investment from Pakistan into Egypt. And I'm happy to report that that factory is now working. On the political side, of course, there can be no argument. Egypt is one of the most important countries in the region, not only because of its remarkable, rich history, but also because of its pivotal geostrategic location. The canal has been mentioned. It is a waterway through which 14–15% of global trade passes. It is a vital passageway which connects, this part of the world to the western part. Egypt, of course, is also a very important member of the Arab League, of the OIC, of the African Union. But on the OIC, I will say one thing, if I may, with permission of the chair, that we must really look into the potency of this organization. We have seen recent crises involving 3 Islamic states and 3 Muslim peoples. In Gaza, when Pakistan was attacked without provocation, without justification, an illegal attack, and when Iran was attacked illegally, without provocation. On all of these, apart from statements, as a citizen of the globe, my grouse is that apart from a statement, the OIC has not been able to be an effective interlocutor between those being affected by these attacks and the attackers. So we must really ponder about how to make this a more effective and potent organization, or nothing. I say that the only permanent thing in life is change. Maybe there is a time will come when we need to consider some kind of a change. Another commonality between the 2 economies is the need to create jobs for our youth. Peace and stability in society comes when there is prosperity. Prosperity comes when there is economic growth. Egypt has had a very reasonable growth rate, 3.8% in the last year. And they have been focusing on this aspect to make sure that the youth bulge that all of the Muslim countries have, that there is an ample opportunity for not only jobs, but also hope for our future generation. In this context, the public-private policies that we often talk about are very important. Ronald Reagan, the American president way back in the 80s, used to say there's one kind of good government, and that is less government. So we must encourage, and this is a part of the Vision 2030 of Egypt also, that they have to encourage the private sector. Now, let me tell you that the pyramids, which have been standing for centuries and are one of the most well-known sites in the world, even over there, the areas surrounding the pyramids have now been given to a private party, and they are developing the infrastructure to improve the experience that tourists have when they come to see the pyramids. So the private sector needs to be encouraged. And over here, I think we should also follow the vision that is being followed by Egypt. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from our youth, ladies and women, there was a question at a seminar yesterday about why Pakistan does not support more effectively the Taliban. I said I do not know the details, but I can only tell you one thing, that any policy which excludes ladies and women from education and from the workforce, that is something that I at least do not support. The challenges that we, the countries of the South, face, the women and the ladies in our families, in our communities, they have to be equal, empowered partners in the national development. And I think this is also a part of your strategy, Your Excellency, for 2030. Improved governance, goes without saying, is something that we need to focus on. And I will just conclude by saying that those of you who have not visited, the ambassador is here. Grab him before he leaves and get your visas on the spot. Please go and visit Cairo. I promise you, you will not regret that visit. Your Excellency, I congratulate you on this auspicious day. And as you can see, lots of friends and colleagues are here. I would like to thank the Institute again, the worthy chairman, the Director General, and Camia for organizing this. I congratulate you and I thank you, sir.
Thank you. It gives me great pleasure now to invite Dr. Elhab Abdul Hamid Hassan, Ambassador of Egypt to Pakistan.
Thank you. Excellencies, Senator Mushahid Hussain Saeed, President of Pakistan African Institute for Development and Research, Ambassador Khalid Mahmoud, Chairman of ISSI, Ambassador Suhail Mahmoud, Director General of ISSI, Ambassador Hamid Asghar Khan, Additional Foreign Secretary, Africa, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Amina Khan, Director of Center for Afghanistan, Middle East, and Africa, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me first to express my sincere gratitude for ISSI for hosting today's event. It is an honor and a great pleasure to be with you today to celebrate the National Day of Arab Republic of Egypt, a day of pride, reflection, and enduring national spirit. On the 23rd of July, we commemorate the 1952 revolution, a transformative moment in Egypt's modern history. This day marked the birth of a sovereign republic guided by the aspirations of its people for dignity, development, and independence. The transformation became a symbol of hope for many nations striving for self-determination and social justice, and it remains a cornerstone of our national dignity and resilience. As we celebrate this important day here in Pakistan, a land of rich heritage, strategic importance, and profound friendship, we are reminded of the deep-rooted historical ties between our two countries. Egypt and Pakistan share more than just diplomatic relations. We share a bond built on shared values, mutual respect, and a common vision for peace and prosperity. Egypt and Pakistan formally established diplomatic relations in 1948, shortly after Pakistan gained its independence. Egypt takes pride in being among the first countries in the world to establish relations with Pakistan. This early gesture of solidarity reflects the deep sense of fraternity and shared values between our two nations, laying the foundation for a long-standing partnership rooted in mutual respect and historical bond. Since the establishment of the Republic in Egypt in 1953, we have witnessed historic events that laid the foundation for this enduring relationship. President Gamal Abdel Nasser, who visited Pakistan for the first time in 1960, played a role in halting the 1965 Indo-Pakistan War. During the 1973 Egypt-Israel War, Pakistan demonstrated partnership and solidarity by sending fighter pilots to Egypt and Syria. Over the decades, Egypt and Pakistan have worked together on many fronts, from diplomacy to defense, from education to energy, from culture to commerce. Our strategic relations are built on mutual understanding and supported by frequent high-level exchanges, bilateral agreements, and collaboration in multilateral forums such as the United Nations, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and the G8 Organization for Economic Cooperation. One of the most meaningful aspects of our cooperation lies in the field of religious and educational exchange. Each year, Egypt grants scholarships to Pakistani students to study at the historic Al-Azhar al-Sharif in Cairo, one of the oldest and most respected Islamic institutions in the world. Through this initiative, generations of Pakistani scholars have been trained in the principles of moderation, tolerance, and enlightened Islamic thoughts, helping to strengthen the spiritual and cultural ties between our nations. In a testament to this enduring partnership, Egypt currently has 11 Al-Azhar scholars serving at the Islamic University in Islamabad, contributing actively to promoting moderate Islamic values. Ladies and gentlemen, as we honor our past, we must also celebrate the milestones of the present. In this spirit, I am proud to share that Egypt is preparing for the grand inauguration of the Egyptian Grand Museum, the largest archaeological museum in the world, and a living testament to the greatness of our ancient civilization. This museum is not just a national project, it's a gift to the world, symbol of cultural heritage, human creativity and effort, and our commitment to preserving history while embracing modernity. We look forward to welcome visitors from Pakistan and across the globe to experience the wonders of Tutankhamun, the mysterious of the pharaohs, and the timeless story of ancient Egypt that still inspires generations. Before I conclude, allow me to take this moment to present a small but meaningful token of Egypt's commitment to dialogue, understanding, and shared values. I am pleased to present the esteemed Institute of Strategic Studies, a collection of translated books in both English and Urdu, which address some of the most pressing and often misunderstood issues in Islam, like women's rights in Islam, tolerance, and modern Islamic regimes. These publications reflect Al-Azhar's long-standing tradition of moderation, clarity, and responsibility, and are intended to contribute to open, balanced discourse in academic and religious circles. We hope that these books will be valuable resource for researchers, students, and scholars here in Pakistan, and a symbol of the continuing intellectual and spiritual connection between our two countries. Once again, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Institute of Strategic Studies for hosting this event and for their unwavering support in strengthening the friendship between our two nations. May Egypt and Pakistan continue to thrive in unity, peace, and shared purpose. Egypt Zindabad, Pakistan Zindabad. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Allow me to
I would
present-
now like to request Ambassador. Oh, okay. Please. I would now like to request Ambassador of Pakistan to Egypt, Mr. Amir Shaukat, for his remarks. So you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Chairman, Institute of Strategic Studies, Ambassador Khalid Mahmood, respected Director General, ISSI, Ambassador Suhail Mahmood Saab, Honorable Mushahid Hussain Saab, Ambassador Hamid Asghar Khan, Additional Foreign Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. As Ambassador of Pakistan to this beautiful country, it is indeed a great honor for me to join you in this event to mark Revolution Day of Egypt. Already a lot has been said about the Revolution Day and Egypt-Pakistan relations, but if you allow me, I would also like to add a few of my comments to what has already been said. I have recently joined my duties here in Egypt. It has been now almost 3 months, but I can say one thing for sure, that I have been overwhelmed by the warmth and hospitality of the people of Egypt. I have not felt for a single moment that I am in a foreign country. I have always felt as if I am on a home posting. And this I have said in my media interviews as well, wherever I've met people at formal and informal levels. I will also fully endorse what Ambassador Hamid Asghar Khan has said about Egypt, its architecture, its people, the tourism sector. And I will also urge all of you, if you have not visited Egypt before, please do so. We have a lot to learn from Egypt in a lot of sectors. I currently have a delegation from the government of Punjab, headed by its agriculture minister. And day before yesterday, we went and met the agriculture minister of Egypt. I went with him and we talked about collaboration with Egypt, and there is so much to learn from them with limited water resources that they have from the Nile River, and so much they produce, the drip irrigation. And I can tell you that all of the equipment that they use is indigenously produced. They do not spend a lot of foreign exchange on importing this equipment. And with all this, they produce so much of agricultural product. And in fact, if you look at the statistics, the cultivable land or cultivable area of Egypt is much less than Pakistan, but they produce much more valuable crops, and they earn so much foreign exchange by exporting these crops. So there is a lot for us to learn. For example, there are two very prominent agricultural farms near Cairo, Al-Maghrabi and Belko. These are places that we can visit and learn. And in fact, I'm glad that the delegation from Punjab Agriculture Department, headed by its minister, visited these farms, and they took away a lot of lessons with them. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan and Egypt are bound by enduring ties rooted in our shared history, as it was already mentioned by many speakers. Our bilateral relationship is enriched not merely by diplomatic niceties, but by a common vision, a vision of peace founded on justice, development premised on equity, and of international engagement grounded in multilateralism. President al-Sisi's appeal for peace and stability in the region resonates profoundly with Pakistan's own diplomatic ethos. We share our positions in reaffirming the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people, including their right to an independent state, a cause that continues to define the conscience of our collective people. We also pay tribute to the resilience of the Egyptian people, the sacrifices of its martyrs, and the steadfastness of its security institutions, the armed forces and civil police, who continue to safeguard the Republic's sovereignty, unity, and constitutional order. Pakistan too has borne the weight of similar challenges, and we honor the commonality of purpose that define our national experience. On behalf of the government and in particular Embassy of Pakistan in Cairo, I extend our heartfelt felicitations to the leadership and people of Egypt on commemoration of the Revolution Day. May the spirit of this revolution continue to inspire the great nation of Egypt towards greater unity, peace, and prosperity. As trusted partners and friends, Pakistan remains committed to further strengthening our bilateral cooperation across all domains: political, economic, cultural, and strategic. Together, may we advance our shared aspirations for a just, stable, and prosperous region. I thank you very much.
Thank you. I would now like to request our chief guest, Senator Mushaid Hussain Sayyid, who's also president of PAIDAR, for his remarks.
Thank you very much. In the name of the Almighty, the Lord of all mankind. Assalamu alaikum and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, Chairman of the Institute, Excellency Khalid Mahmood Sahib, the brilliant Director General of the Institute of Strategic Studies, Ambassador Suhail Mahmood, probably one of the best foreign secretaries that have been produced in Pakistan, the dynamic and dashing Hamid Asghar Khan. I think he can be a good minister for tourism. After your description of Egypt, the way you described it, it's amazing. Maybe, were you a tour guide before you joined the Foreign Service?
Minister for Tourism here or in Egypt?
Either way is fine. We are willing to lend you to Egypt because great ideas have no borders and they can travel. Your Excellency, Dr. Ihab, Abdul Hamid Hassan, the Honorable Ambassador, and of course, none other than Her Excellency Amna Saiba, the moving spirit behind this initiative, because this initiative is what I call the Africa Troika. It started with the Institute of Strategic Studies Center for Afghanistan, Middle East, and Africa, along with the Foreign Office under your stewardship, Mr. Hamid Asghar Khan, and PAIDAR, the Pakistan's first think tank on Africa. Pakistan Africa Institute for Development and Research. And I would like to say that this is our latest report. And this report is Rwanda DRC Peace Deal, Strategic Significance and Implications for Pakistan. So you can see that we are having a very close look at what is happening in the world and what are its implications for Pakistan. So thanks to this Africa Troika, now Africa is on Pakistan's radar as a major important policy initiative. And I would also like to thank, in this regard, the role played by Ambassador Karmoon, the Dean of the Africa Corps, and he's been the very steady hand in guiding it. And I also want to thank a very important observer who's there, the Ambassador of Historical Yemen, Mr. Mutahar al-Shabi. And also there are two gentlemen sitting formerly from the armed forces who served in Africa, General Tayyab. You were Ambassador, High Commissioner in Egypt. And Brigadier Mujahid Alam is also here. You were in Somalia, sir? And Ambassador of Palestine also is, of course, very much here. Excellency Dr. Zayed, we are Palestine. He's a revolutionary and he's a thinker and he's a freedom fighter. He's a mujahid, mashallah. We are proud of you, sir. So thank you very much. I have a very personal relationship with Egypt, which is very long-standing. When I first went to the United States, studying in Georgetown University in the School of Foreign Service, I took a special course on Egypt because I'm a Nasserite. I'm a Jamal Abdel Nasser. So Jamal Abdel Nasser, along with Dr. Sukarno and Chairman Mao, were the big heroes when we were students. And I remember I was in that meeting in Lahore, in Golbagh, when Mr. Bhutto announced that from today, Golbagh will not be Golbagh, it is Nasser Bagh. And it became Nasser Bagh, the Nasser Gardens. And all historic meetings in Lahore. Lahore is, by the way, the political center of Pakistan, cultural center also. So were held in Nasser Bagh. And we were there and we had photos of Nasser, Jamal Abdul Nasser, used to. So, so as a Nasserite, I said I must learn more about Egypt. And so there was a course given in Georgetown University in Washington by Ambassador of the United States formerly to Egypt, John S. Beddoe. He was ambassador when the Suez Canal was nationalized. So he was Eisenhower's ambassador. And the course was called Nasser's Egypt. So it is very specifically Nasser's Egypt. So I studied The Philosophy of the Revolution, the book by Jamal Abdul Nasser, where he talked of 3 circles of Egypt: Arab, Africa, and Islam. That's how the worldview. Then I studied Anwar al-Sadat's book, The Revolt on the Nile. So, and we studied about the movement and everything. So that was my exposure. And then, of course, at that time, the war also took place, the Ramadan war. So we were there out supporting and Egypt fully. And it was an amazing, I think, victory, because the first time the myth of Israeli invincibility was shattered was because of Egypt. And Pakistan was there in the forefront with our pilots, with the Egyptian Air Force, mashallah. So that was my initial orientation. My second connection is that my nephew is married to an Egyptian. And the marriage took place in Alexandria.
So I was, you know about Egypt more than me.
No. And then the third connection is that I was a journalist, editor of The Muslim, and I went to Casablanca for the Islamic Summit with a media entourage with President General Ziaul Haq. And I was witness to the fact that the Pakistan president spearheaded Egypt's return to the OIC in '84 and hosted by His Majesty King Hassan of Morocco. And that was very important. And the third connection is also very interesting, where I had the occasion in March 2013 of meeting the then Army Chief of Egypt, General Abdul Fattah al-Sisi, because the president of Egypt was visiting Pakistan, Dr. Bursi. I was asked by the government that since you are so close to Egypt, you should be his minister in waiting. So I was the protocol minister. And in that way, I was with the Egyptian president and the Egyptian delegation, including President, then General Abdul Fattah al-Sisi, for the duration of the visit. So I had very close exposure and very strong conversation. So you can see my personal connection. Ladies and gentlemen, Egypt is not a normal state of the Arab world or global. It is a very unique country. Egypt is a civilizational state. A civilizational state with a history of 5,000 years. And he mentioned the pharaohs. We talk of Pharaoh. In our language, we say Pharaoh. And Pharaoh is also, it's a mindset also. It's become a metaphor for arrogance, for hubris, for takabbur, that. So there's, and of course, I've been to all your museums also. And also, a lot of your art has been stolen by the British, and that's in London. So,
the same one.
Yes. So sometimes we have to go, unfortunately, to the West to see what is your history. So I think is very important. Then Egypt is without doubt the strategic, the political, the intellectual, and the cultural center of gravity in the Arab world. And Egypt is the harbinger, the trend center of ideas, issues, and initiatives. The great Fatimid Empire was in Egypt in the 10th century with Cairo as capital, where art was flourishing. And that's why the Aga Khan is buried there. Not only recently, but his father also, Sir Muhammad Aga Khan, who was one of the founders of Pakistan and the All India Muslim League. So we have a very old historical connection with that. And Egypt also is a country that is playing a very pivotal role. In fact, once as a journalist, I wrote a special article in a seminar where I invited the ambassadors of Turkey and Egypt. I said, PET, Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey, 3 countries with a historical background and a great role in the future. So Egypt has that role. Egypt has played three very important contributions to modern history after World War II. Number one, he mentioned the revolution. 23rd July 1952 was a turning point for the Third World, for the Muslim world, for the Arab world, or what is now called the Global South. That 13 officers, the Free Officers Movement, led by Jamal Abdel Nasser, was a turning point because they overthrew that system and they revolted and they gave a new lease of life to the cause of sovereignty, to the cause of nationalism, to the cause of anti-imperialism. And that Nasserism became the main philosophy and guidance to overturn the status quo, which was unacceptable. So that is one major contribution. The second biggest contribution of Egypt was the nationalization of the Suez Canal. The nationalization of the Suez Canal in 1956 by Jamal Abdel Nasser was a heroic act of defiance, of courage, of upholding sovereignty. And Excellency, you should know, the biggest demonstrations in the Muslim world were held in Karachi, in Pakistan, supporting Nasser. So he touched the certain chord and the feelings of the people of Pakistan at that time. And the third major historic contribution of Egypt, and here I would like to give credit to Anwar al-Sadat, which was a very big decision. 6th of October 1973, the war for the liberation of, it's not an Israeli attack on Israel, it was a war of liberation for Egyptian occupied territory. They say Israel was attacked, not Israel. It was a liberation of Israeli occupied territory. And I think the Egyptian armed forces, we salute them because they shattered the myth of that invincibility of Israel. Israel was shaken up. They call it the Yom Kippur War. We call it the Ramazan War. It was in the holy month of Ramadan. It was their holiday also, Yom Kippur. But anyway, the October War, if you will. And there's a very good book on that, those who want to study that, by Muhammad Hasnain Akel, The Road to Ramadan. It documents how it took place and how it was planned. And it was a masterly planning and masterly execution. So, and Egyptian armed forces did a great job. So that turned the tables. The Palestine cause received impetus. After a year after that, Arafat was invited to the UN General Assembly by Abdulaziz Bouteflika, the foreign minister of Algeria, and the UN General Assembly. After that, the talk of the Third World started, new international economic order, Deng Xiaoping went to New York also. So it turned, and the balance of power. And also I would like to give credit to King Faisal Shahid, because he launched the oil embargo. And after that, our Prime Minister, Mr. Bhutto, then organized the Islamic Summit in Lahore. It was a consequence of the Ramadan. And it was very important. And that, for the first time, galvanized the entire Arab and Muslim world. And the ambassador of Palestine is here. For the first time, Brother Abu Omar was here, also Yasser Arafat. The PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, achieved recognition as the sole legitimate representative of the people of Palestine. It was in Lahore at the Islamic Summit, 6 months before the Rabat Summit in October 1974. So this historic event we owe to our Egyptian brothers, and we are very happy that this camaraderie is now very strong. And I'd like to mention, for those of you who are here, that the great leader, our great leader, the Quaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the only country he visited apart from the UK was Egypt. He was in Cairo in 1946. He only visited 2 countries. He went to the UK, of course, for his education and also for political parleys. But the only other country by choice he visited was there. He met the Prime Minister. He also met Mufti Amin al-Husseini, the Mufti of Palestine, who later on stayed in Pakistan also in 47, 48. So Egypt and Pakistan have a very close relationship. I would call it a camaraderie, because there are common interests, common values. And I'm so glad that in the 21st century, this relationship has been strengthened. This relationship has been mentioned. I just like to comment on a comment made by my friend, Mr. Hamid Asghar Khan, about the OIC. You said that it's very interesting that you talked of that the ceasefire in Gaza, the ceasefire in Pakistan, India, and the Iran, Israel, it was not done by OIC. It was done by President Trump. So we would like to thank President Trump. Has done this hat trick of ceasefires. And so I think Trump should be invited to the OIC to inject some life in that. And make him the head of the OIC. Well, he can be a good Muslim because he's a good Christian. So he's Ahle Kitab, mashallah. But I think this has been a very good initiative. I once again thank the Institute of Strategic Studies. Amna, you're doing a damn good job, you and your talented team, mashallah. I remember when I first went to China, I was a teenager at the age of 17 studying in FC College, and I followed the red book of Chairman Mao. And he said, women hold half the sky. I think you hold more than half the sky. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Suhail Saab. And Suhail Saab is also going to play a very major role in the future also, because now, apart from, you talk of OIC, but there are other organizations coming up. BRICS is there, SCO is there, and inshallah, D8, in which Egypt is also a member and Pakistan is also a member. So the future belongs to the global south, the future belongs to Afro-Asian solidarity, and long live Pakistan-Egypt friendship. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would now like to request Ambassador Khalid Mehmood, Chairman, Board of Governors, Institute of Strategic Studies, for his remarks.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Chief Guest, Senator Mushahid Hussain Sayyid, Director General ISSI, Ambassador Suhail Mehmood, Keynote Speaker, Ambassador Hamid Asghar Khan, Additional Foreign Secretary, Dr. Ilham Abdul Hamid Hassan, Ambassador of Egypt, and Ambassador of Pakistan to Egypt, Amir Shaukat. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, first of all, heartfelt congratulations to our Egyptian brothers and sisters on this occasion of the commemoration of the Revolution Day of 23rd July 1952. So much has been said about Egypt and Pakistan-Egypt relations. I must say that I also have always been fascinated by Egypt. When I was doing my master's in 1961, the thesis of my paper, which I wrote, it was Suez Crisis. Because Suez Crisis, had erupted in 1956, so I was doing it in 1961. So my thesis is on Suez Crisis.
You are the original Egypt scholar.
And secondly, after joining Foreign Service and completing my training, the first foreign country I visited was Egypt. Because I was going to take up my post in Algiers at that time. And the only way to go, there was no direct flight, so via Cairo. And I really fully endorse what has been stated, that I was really impressed by the architecture, Islamic influence there, the warmth of the people of Egypt for Pakistan. And so it is such a glorious relationship we have, and which has been really tested in the test of time. The relations with Egypt also one should see in the light of the Engage Africa policy. I think it is in line with that, and I'm really glad that this institute, along with Payadar, is making a big contribution in bringing Africa on the map of Pakistan's foreign policy. And many initiatives are now being undertaken to cement Pakistan's ties with African countries. In that context, also, it must be that Egypt is in a gateway to not only Africa, but even Europe and Middle East, other countries. And there should be effort should be made to synergize the Suez Port Authority and Gwadar Port Authority as well. So there are many opportunities for development of this strengthening of Pakistan-Egyptian relations. And I'm sorry to say that the turnover of trade is not much, about $300 million is nothing, between two big countries. So much needs to be done. There are many challenges, but I'm happy that people-to-people contacts are, of course, developing. Al-Azhar University and Islamic University in Islamabad. So there are scholars and professors here from Egypt. So we are really grateful for this contribution of Egypt. So I would like just to conclude by again conveying our heartfelt greetings on this occasion. And you can see that how many people are really involved in this. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This brings us to the end of today's event. But before I ask the panel for a group photograph, we will have tea at the back. And the Egyptian Embassy has been very gracious enough to give us a taste of their delicacies. And for this, I have to, yes, I must mention Mr. Ahmed Zuwail from the embassy. He's been very kind. We've driven him crazy, Ambassador, over this stall. So thank you so much for joining us. And please join us for refreshments at the back and the panel for a group picture. Thank you.